Hey y'all, Jim here with Sunrise Farm. Thanks so much for stopping by today. In today's April update video, we're going to talk about everything I'm planting in my garden right now, or in the midst thereof. And I'm going to also discuss thoughts of already laying out succession planting of certain items. You know, we got a long growing season down here in Zone 8B in the lower part of South Carolina where I live. And I already started planting actually about a little over a week ago, off and on when the rain would allow me. But right now it is hot and heavy planting season for us down here. So if you haven't already got started with some of these, maybe it's time. I'm going to go over a complete list of everything I'm doing from A to Z. Maybe something will spark your interest or make you remember something you wanted to plant this year. So hopefully this whole list helps you. So let's jump on into it. I had my most amazing wife type out in alphabetical order my all our planting list just so I would have it handy. And it's too much to try to remember off the top of your head. So we're going to do arugula. We're going to do, now arugula is one of those that you want to, if you want to grow it a good portion of your season, you want to start it, every few weeks and then succession plant arugula. I'm going to be transplanting asparagus. Now asparagus, when you grow it from seed, it's going to take you at least 2 years before you make any harvest, probably 3 before you do a real kind of harvest to where you can harvest it every year. Now the thing about asparagus though, when you plant it, is that it is a perennial crop, meaning that that plant will last you probably at least 20 years after it gets up and running. So once you've established those plants, yeah, it takes some patience and it takes a couple of years to get it going. So if something you want to eat now, you're probably gonna have to go to the store. But asparagus is one of those crops that can last you about 20 years or so. Basil, I'll be transplanting my basil. Now beets, I have both a hybrid called Merlin and the standard Detroit dark red. Butternut squash. Carrots, I have 3 different types of carrots. So orange blaze, Bolero, and Chantenay red core. Now I had already planted these probably about 6 weeks ago at this point, but it's time to go ahead and start thinking about succession planting those. Some of the reasons you want to do succession planting, obviously, if you want to build up a homestead and have those particular foods available to you for a good portion of your season, or store them over some downtime, you definitely want to think about succession planting so that you can have a relatively continual harvest. In my case, as I've discussed in other videos, we're actually getting ready here in about 4 weeks. We'll be starting our spring-summer market, farmers market down here locally, and we're going to be participating this year. So succession planting for me is extremely important. But there's also another factor for us down here in the South of succession planting, and that is a generalized term. Some people use the term staggered planting. But succession planting, because of the heat we have, especially in July and August, plants will burn up. So things like a lot of your spring crops, let's say beans, zucchini, squash, cucumbers, even determinate tomatoes, and there's a lot more. We'll probably hit some of them more on the topic of when we're going through this list. But so many things will burn up and you'll be done with them, but your season won't be done. So you want to make sure you're prepared for that. So continuing on, cilantro, chives, both a Boston cucumber. Now I actually have planted a Corinto cucumber to start my year with to see how I like it. It's a relatively expensive hybrid, and but it's a polynocarpic. That's easy for me to say. Parthenocarpic. So that means that it doesn't need pollination. It basically produces all females self-pollinating. Please don't ask me how they did that, but I'm trying that out to see if I like it. But I'll also be planting Marketmore 80s. And those you definitely have to succession plant because they will burn out. So basically, by the time I start everything in seed trays, so by the time I do that and go about 3 weeks to transplant, once they're in the ground, I almost start again. So that's something to think about. Dill, eggplant, green beans, like I mentioned. The green beans, I'm going to be doing a bush bean this year because to me, I think it's simpler than setting up a lot of trellis work for how many I'm planting. So bush beans, I'm going to probably end up in the spring, summer, probably doing 3 successions at least. And I'll turn around and like after August, I'll probably do another 2 successions. So I'll probably get several successions in this year in my growing season. Lima beans, same way. I'm going to do a bush style called Henderson. Lima beans are also known in the South as Butterbeans. Watermelons and cantaloupe, different types of melons. Okra, green onions, Pak Choi, parsley, peanuts. Pak Choi is another one that you'd probably have to succession plant. Now the peppers, I'm planting jalapeno, cayenne, California Wonder, which are these right here, bell peppers, habaneros, and Carolina Reapers. Now Carolina Reaper is probably one of the top 5 hottest peppers. It's way up there on the Scoville scale, and it's pretty hot. I can't eat hot food, so I'm not going to taste it, but I know some people that wanted me to grow it, so that's what I'm doing. And some of those peppers, down here in the South, you may want to succession plant. Jalapeno, you may want to succession plant. Cayenne, even, you may want to. Because some of those only have so many in them. You know, like a typical style jalapeno pepper might have about 40 jalapenos in it, meaning once it's done that, it's burning up its energy. So you may need, if you want more than that out of one plant, you may need a succession plant. Potatoes. So we've already planted our potatoes month and a half or so ago, which I'll be showing you some more potato updates as well. If you all have seen that potato in a box video, I got a pretty cool update coming on that. But I'll be harvesting those in the next couple of months. So my red Yukon, red Pontiacs, Yukons, and Kennebecs. And then I just planted, direct seeded, 2 types of radishes, a cherry bell, which is your standard radish, and a French breakfast, which is a little longer and slender, has kind of a white bottom to it. Rutabagas I'll be harvesting soon. Sage I'll be transplanting soon. Spearmint I'll be transplanting soon. Squash, so your generalized yellow squash, I have both a straight squash and a crookneck squash. I just got done planting those a few minutes ago in actuality. Maybe I'll give you a quick shot of those. And along with this, in the squash category, zucchinis. And then here you go with 2 rows of squash on the far outside over there and 2 rows of zucchini. And like I said, they're about 25 plants per row, so that's about 50 each. And yes, if you've seen my other videos, you'll know I put everything on drip tape. Absolutely helps with keeping the water where it needs to be, not wasting water, and not growing more weeds than need be. Weeds can do just fine on their own without me giving them extra water. And then tomatillos, I am transplanting those right now as well. And of course, I've transplanted most of my tomatoes already, but I still have some to go. I'm putting in 15 rows of 3 rows each of 5 different varieties of tomatoes. I've got 3 full varieties in. I still got 2 more to get in the ground. Time and weather always a factor, right? And yeah, so that's my list of everything I'm planting. Now that doesn't mean that's the end of the list, and I certainly didn't include the flowers in this one. But I'll quickly say that I have many flowers, and I'm going to begin transplanting them probably first thing tomorrow morning. To be honest with you, I've got zinnias ready to transplant, sunflowers ready to transplant, um, cosmos ready to transplant, marigolds, I think I have them ready to transplant, and I've got several more coming. So if you're into flowers and putting them in the garden, certainly that's a wonderful thing to add to your garden for pollinators, for beauty. I'm going to try some cut flowers this year, as I've mentioned before. So I just encourage you, even if you're behind, even if you feel like you've missed the starting window, don't give up. Don't get all anxious about it. Especially if you live here in the South, you got a long season. So no problem getting stuff in the ground or in grow bags or raised beds or whatever you may be planting in. It's just getting started with gardening is a wonderful thing. Can it be stressful? It can if you let it. I'm guilty. I let it from time to time, especially when I start running behind or weather messes with me. Yeah, it can be frustrating. Mainly, I guess, to me, half because I'm doing it for a business, then that can add to the stress. But if you're doing it for relaxation and enjoyment, which is absolutely can be, I get down in the dirt. I've all washed my hands obviously to shoot this video. But if I showed you my pants and you saw me earlier, I was knee deep in mud because I was planting my heart out. I think I planted between the zucchini and squash this morning. I think I planted 100 plants, 50 each. So gardening is just so rewarding. It's relaxing. You get to watch God work as He grows things. You know, for you fellow believers out there, most of you already know that I'm a Christian, so I love God. I was just recently asked, or commented, I guess I should say, somebody recently commented that, wow, they really loved what I was doing. And they loved my garden. They loved all the stuff I was growing. And I replied, and I said, thank you very much. I said, but I'm just the gardener or the caretaker. God is the one growing the stuff. And that is the truth. I can't make it grow. I can help it, but I can't make it grow. That is by God's design. Each individual vegetable and fruit that we eat, the way it's designed and the way it has different tastes and textures and colors, wow, I'm just always at awe. And so in the busyness of planting a garden, with all the things that go on with seeding, with planting, with weeding, with fertilizing, with harvesting, don't stress. Just take a deep breath and just do what you can do, but enjoy the time that you get to spend in the creation of God. It is just an amazing and beautiful thing. And I just want to really encourage you. I felt led to encourage you about that while gardening has its own stresses, don't let that become what you focus on. This is not about getting so frustrated with weeds that you can't see the results and fruit of your labor. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful to you. Look for a full farm update video coming real soon, probably in about a week. It'll come out. I'm waiting until I get more stuff in the ground so I can kind of do a full panorama. But yeah, I just thank you so much for taking your precious time to watch this video. You are indeed a humongous blessing to me. I am so grateful. I am so honored. And I just want to encourage you again to jump into gardening wherever you are, however you can do it, whatever scale it is, and just enjoy it. Relax in it. Take peace and solace and watch the beauty. as it grows. Thank you so much. Take care and God bless you. Have an amazing day in the Lord.